All right, this here is a jailhouse marriage. This is what you call a jailhouse marriage between GD and the DC car. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and y'all put in the comments what you think the jailhouse marriage is. All right? All right, Unique Mecca audio here, man. This one's about a jailhouse marriage with the GD and the DC car. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Now, first of all, there's always been a little bad blood between GD and DC, you know? Always been a little bad blood. Now, the bad blood wasn't amongst the men, you know? The bad blood was amongst the soldiers, the underlings, you know? They didn't know how to deal with the power because GD got a lot of power in the prison, especially when you go out Midwest, Terry Hut and things like that. Now, that's the GDs. Now, both the GD and the DC car, you know, the underlings, they thought they was invincible. And then you had the men like, you know, Antoine White, you know, like I said, Larry Moe, you know, that used to just keep the peace amongst the men. You know, but the underlings did what they wanted to do, and that's what was so crazy about the whole thing. Now, check. The men, you know, in both cars, they didn't have a problem with each other. Let's get that right. The men in both cars didn't have a problem with each other. Like I said, it was the underlings, you know. Now, I don't know what it was, you know, but I think it was basically, you know, a power structure with the younger dudes that felt the strength of, you know, their cars behind them. Now, they had a big basketball game. It was a big basketball game out in the yard. Now, both of them is out there shit talking because each one feel they're gonna win, each one feel they better, and it's for bragging rights that GD beat DC. Now, the DC car, you know, a lot of the brothers from D.C. is Muslim, just like, you know, New Jersey, you know, Philly, you know, things like that. So, you know, that's where the problem came in at. Now, they out there playing this basketball game. You got the Midwest GD dudes out there. They talking all kinds of crap. They going back and forth. And they smack talking. You know, something like the and one basketball game. So while this is going on, it was, you know, a bad call. It was a close game, and it was a bad call. Or should I say close call? So both of them felt like they was being cheated by the ref. That's always the case. They always feel like the ref is against them when the ref makes certain calls, you know, against each other. So all kinds of hell popped off, you know. They go back to their respective benches. They called a timeout. Both teams, you know, both cars ran out to the to the court, and it was all kinds of hell going on. So while this is going on, you know, they break it up, you know, the men, and they tell their underlings go back to the side, but the underlings just ain't really feeling it from, you know, both sides, the GD or the DC car. So they go back to their respective area, you know. So the game goes on again. Boom, boom, couple more points, you know, hit little three-pointer. Dude freaked the dude, you know, GD freaked a DC dude, then a DC dude freaked a GD dude on the court. And, you know, they putting their moves in. This is bragging rights, you know what I mean, for which car is the best, you know, when it comes to the game. So it was a close call, like I said, again, you know, by both sides. You know, this time they all went crazy and they just went to fighting. You know what I mean? I mean, they out there and they going at it, you know? Boom, 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 boom. So now police come, they shoot the riot gear, you know, they come run up out there. They grab up the who they felt was the main characters. They take them to the SHU, and then they call yard recall. When they call yard recall, dude go back, you know, everybody go back to the unit. So now when everybody goes back to the unit, they're in the unit, and as soon as they go in the unit, everybody was looking out the window at the game and saw the fight that was going on. So as soon as they get in the unit, it popped off again. Now, at this time, they had pool tables in the units. So they grabbed pool balls, put it in socks, grabbed pool balls and were just throwing them. They grabbed pool sticks, was swinging it, broomsticks, and it was a big all-out brawl in the unit. So while they going at it, everything just goes array, you know? So now the police coming again. They come lock them up, so they all in the SHU. So after about, after about 2-3 weeks of them in the SHU, you got both sides will go to the SIS. The SIS is the Special Investigation Service, right? That's like the feds for the jail, like I keep telling you. So you got the GD dudes, and you got the DC dudes, and you got the Muslims. They go into the SIS telling them, yo, could you, could you let my homies out, blah, blah, blah. And the SIS is like, nah, because that was kind of a big joint that could have cost somebody's life. So right now, we just going to transfer all of them that was involved. So we try to tell them and give them our word that, yo, ain't nothing going to happen if they come out. Ain't nothing going to happen if they come out. They wasn't really trying to hear that. You know what I mean? So the SIS said, nah, we're going to leave them back there, let them sit a minute. So after a month go by, and us keep going up to the SIS at mainline. Mainline is what you call, like lunchtime. Because lunchtime, you got the AW, that's assistant warden, you got the warden, you got the captain, you got the SIS, you got the unit team, you got the commissary man, you got everybody up there at mainline. So while everybody's up there at mainline, that's when you go up there and you plead your case for your man that's in the SHU. So while we pleading our case for our man in the SHU, the administration ain't trying to hear it because they like, nah, we looked at the videotape and both parties was involved. So everybody we got in the back, we're going to lock up. So, we like, come on, man. We giving you our word, ain't nothing going to happen, And they already know from in the prison that if you give your word on something, that's what it is, right? If you give your word, that's what it is. If the inmates, convicts, there's a difference between an inmate and a convict. An inmate does what he's told to do and a convict do what he want to do. So the convicts, get a word on anything, whether it's to the administration or to each other, and we honor that word. So we tell them that we giving them our word. They know that's the way it is, that we honor our word when that happened, but they were like, nah, that was too crazy, and I know it's always been a little bad blood between the two of y'all, so we don't want to put nobody out here and have another situation like what we just had. So right now, we're going to leave everybody back there. So then now, we go back to him again. So now we had this cool captain. So the captain said, okay, you remember the tough man sheet, right? The tough man sheet is where if you get into it with somebody, let's say two of y'all stab each other. If you both of y'all stab each other, so you youngins listen to this, see if this is where you're trying to go or not. You know what I mean? If both of y'all stab each other and you're both back there, they'll come back there with what they call a tough man sheet, and you sign the papers saying that if you go out there and you get killed, it's not on, the Federal Bureau of Prison. That's on you because you signed this paper saying that you're not fair for your life and you going out. And the crazy part is, when dudes is in the SHU, the SIS would do stuff like this back in the days. They'll come to the door, to the cell door, and they'd be like, Jones, you going to the yard or you scared to go out? You ain't trying to see Williams? You know what I mean? And now he don't put it on Front Street, so dude guy say, nah, I ain't scared to see him. He'd be like, all right, here go tough man sheet. Sign this sheet, tough guy. So he signs the paper, then he go to Williams and say, Williams. Jones said he ain't got a problem, said that, he signed the tough man sheet, so if you don't sign it, we're going to transfer you out west. If you sign it, you get to stay. And 9 times out of 10, people already comfortable where they at, so they ain't trying to go, so they both sign it. So if they go out there and they get into each other, it ain't got nothing to do with the administration. You know what I mean? That's the tough man sheet. But now, this captain came, right? Let's give a gunshot to the captain. Let's give a gunshot. Let's give a gunshot to the captain, right? This captain came and he was mad cool. And he was a convict. You know what I mean? He was a convict captain. He worked with us. So the captain comes and the captain says, all right, this is what we're going to do, right? We're going to marry these two guys. You know what I mean? And I know y'all wondering, what I mean by marriage. You know what I mean? Yo, the captain said, we're going to marry them, in the SHU, And we ain't talking about no relationship type marriage. They call a marriage when they put the, both of y'all in the same cell and you gotta survive for 30 days to show that you could live with each other. So they took a GD and they took a DC dude, the two, main shot calls they know got a voice that if they pop, everybody gonna pop. They put both of them in a cell together. Now, they both got to live together for 30 days. If they can live together for 30 days in the cell, don't kill each other in the cell, then that means that it's all right to let them out because the rest of the car would know that they done lived with each other and, that's the way it played out. So that's the way the marriage go. So now they married these dudes in the cell. So they in the cell for 30 days together. And it's crazy because once the marriage was over and the 30 days was up and they came out the SHU. When they came out the SHU, those two became like the best of friends. You know what I mean? And the crazy part is they even became cellies. That's how good they was with each other. You know what I mean? They found out they had a lot in common. Both of them was gangsters. Both of them wasn't about the games. Both of them was about their business. So now the two of them is out there and, they doing their thing. Of course, you got some underlings that's like, man, forget that, I'm trying to see, and da-da-da. So now, the elders got to tell them, like, nah, we said it's dead, so that means that if the underlings pop off after the elders done said it's dead, that means that the car is going to punish the underlings that popped off after the elders said it was done. Because it's a chain of command. It's a chain of command and respect. So if we say it's over, it's over. If we say it's on, it's on. And if it's on, you have no choice, you must fight. So that's for you youngins to listen. You don't get to think for yourself when you're in a car because whatever you do affects the whole car. So if an underling decide to go pop off and, the elders done said it's over, then now you done put the whole car in jeopardy. Because I know a lot of situations where dude said it was over and then he still went and put in work. You know what I mean? Now, when you do that, that's giving the car a bad name because everybody want to be about their word in the prison. If you ain't got your word, you don't have nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Cash App on the screen. Remember, hit the logo. It got to say it was created in 2020 and there's no one in my last name Hall. It's HALL, not HA number 1 L or HAL number 1, none of that crap, right? So now, that's what it is. So we all up in the joint, and we come out, they wind up getting along. But it's like crazy because many jails that I've been in, DC and GD, they get it on, They both official, they both put their work in, and it was just something that, neither wasn't having it. And that's what was so crazy about it. But now, so they done did the jailhouse marriage. And I know a lot of y'all thought that, jailhouse marriage is going to be two he cipher, monkey cipher. No, we ain't dealing with none of that. You know what I mean? Now, I've seen the he cipher, monkey cipher marriages, and I've even spoke on the he cipher, monkey cipher marriage. You know what I mean? If you didn't see that video, go back and look at it. I might do it again. Remember, put in the comments whatever videos you want to see, whatever topics or whatever you want me to speak on. If you see something on social media, YouTube, or whatever you want me to speak on, send it to my phone number that's on the screen, 917-680-9091. And, we're going to make it happen for you. All right? I'm getting ready to do something on ADX, what it was like at ADX. I even got some pictures, put up here so you can see what the cells look like in ADX for when I do that. You know what I mean? This is how the cell looked like in ADX. I had to do 5 years in a cell like this. Never come out. That one little window is in the back, that's the only view of sunlight, of daylight that I had for 5 years. So when it got dark, it felt like you was in hell. So if you want to know what it was like for me to survive in this hellhole, put it in the comments. We're going to make it happen. And, that's what it is. Now, that's one angle of the cell, right? Now, I'm going to give you another angle of the cell. This ADS, because I'm working on a video, Now, straight back, next to that little window on the left, right over the bed, on that tin box you see, that's the shower, because they don't let us out for nothing. There ain't no cuffing you up, taking you out to go to shower. You go and you take a shower right in your cell, and it is what it is. So don't say that I didn't tell you. If you want to know what it was like surviving and living at ADX, put it in the comments. I'm a little under the weather, so this is a little short. I just wanted to give you something because, you know, the weather been changing, and, you know, all these bullet holes in me, it kind of affects my body, especially like when the bullet gets cold. Like when my body get cold and the bullet get cold, it's like real crazy because my whole body, you know, gets numb, you know? And, you know, that's why I say, youngins, don't go out there and put yourself in harm's way, man. I mean, look what them bullets them did to me. But, you know, it is what it is. So that's about that. Now, so y'all understand what a jailhouse marriage is when you're in the SHU. I just broke that down. Share this video with whoever. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed, and make sure you like the video and give me an emoji. You know what I mean? Follow me on Instagram, and you already know the Cash App is on the screen. I've been up there long enough. Like I said, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize. I'm going to do something real nice for you with the ADX joint is what I'm working on. So just sit back and enjoy the ride, man. And, you know, let me do what I got to do. You do what you got to do. And remember, stay out of prison. Stay off the street. Don't get involved in that crap. It's definitely not worth it. I'm telling you it's not worth it. I done been there and done that, and I'm telling you, don't go down that road. All right?
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was whining. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend it air. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them. Cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rudiments.